1776. Wait, what happened in 1776? What happened in 1776? Oh, yes, of course, yes. The Declaration of Independence. By issuing the Declaration of Independence, adopted by the Continental Congress on July 4, 1776. The 13 American colonies severed their political connections to Great Britain. The Declaration summarized the colonists' motivations for seeking independence. So, yes. And I believe the Constitutional Convention actually took place in 1776 as well. So the Declaration of Independence is the most important thing when it comes to America, pretty much. Obviously, a lot of changes have been made during that time, up until now. But, yes, the Declaration of Independence is what started it all. Started America, started the independence. That's what it is, hence the name. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be reading the entire Declaration of Independence, and I'm going to time myself. I'm going to see how long it takes me to read it. Now, for those of you who don't know what it looks like, at the top, it says the title, and then there's like a lengthy paragraph, and then on the bottom, there's things that are signed at the bottom of different people who signed it, like our founding fathers. Also, the person who wrote the Declaration was Thomas Jefferson, and John Adams was there at the Constitutional Convention as well when the Declaration was signed at the end of it. Now, where to find the Declaration of Independence? Like, I want to read from the actual document, if I can find it in good quality. Will this help? Will this help at all? Nope. Okay, fine. I guess I'll have to read from text right here, okay? Fine. Alright, let's do it then. Okay. Timer, start. The unanimous declaration of the 13th United States of America, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and the nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. I actually had to memorize that in school. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on which principles, and organizing its powers in such a form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, this is big words, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To provide this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. Oh, it took me 2 minutes. Over 2 minutes. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden the governments to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended, he is utterly neglected to attend them. He has refused to pass, this is about the king, by the way, he has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant, and depository to their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness to invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time another such dissolutions, or after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise. The state remaining in the meantime exposed to all dangers of invasion from without and convolutions within. He has endeavored to prevent populations of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners. Yes, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither. Okay. And raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone, and for the tenure of their offices, to the amount of payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers hither to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render military independent of and superior to the civil power. Language has changed so much these days. He has combined with others to subject to a jurisdiction foreign to our constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering larger bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial, for punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states. Basically, he's been unfair, but yes. For cutting off our trade, all I had to put was, you are being unfair, or something, I don't know. For cutting off trade with all parts of the world, for imposing on taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas. He kicked them all off and sent them off to sea to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of England laws in the neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it all at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing charters like maps, abolishing our most valuable laws and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested the power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us of his out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. Is that true? I don't know. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the work. Is that how you spell that? Complete the work of death, desolation, and tyranny. After begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy, scarcely paralleled is in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy of the head of civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizen, taken captive of the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, to fall themselves by their hands. He is excited. I'm almost done. He has excited insurrections amongst us. He has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages. Oh, come on, that's horrible. Whose known role of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. just remember, this is during... I'm going to pause this real quick. Okay, so just remember, this is during a time where political correctness was not a thing. So... yeah, just bear with me on this, guys. Okay, let's keep going. At every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned wow, that voice crack, for redress is in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be ruler of free people. Okay, nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time to attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of their emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity. And we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation, and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war and peace, friends. We therefore, okay, last paragraph. We therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assembled appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, to do in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and the right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states they have found total power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all over acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Okay, that took probably roughly 10 minutes. What I have to do now is I have to sing the Pledge of Allegiance to all of you guys, because I want to pledge my allegiance to America and to become a citizen of the United States and to become a true citizen. So in order to do that, you have to read the Declaration of Independence. That's trial number 1. Trial number 2, you have to sing the national anthem. Okay? Here we go. Put your right hand on your heart. Whew. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight and the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red flare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, Satan bless our spangled valiant the brave. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No need. No applause needed, anyone. No, thank you. I know I'm a citizen of the United States of America. No applause needed. I know that I'm officially. I get it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm good. Great. I'm a citizen now, guys. I'm a citizen of the United States. I did it. I did it. I did it. I did it.